Coming up on Hoosier Sports Nite, women's basketball is going dancing. We'll tell you all about what you need to know about the matchups coming to Bloomington.
And Indiana men's basketball season is officially over. With the transfer portal now open, we'll give you the rundown on what has happened so far. This is Hoosier Sports Nite.
Hello and welcome back to Hoosier Sports Nite. I'm Josh Bose.
And I'm Georgie Thomas.
Georgie, today was the first day of the NCAA men's tournament and my bracket's already busted. How's yours looking?
Also not good. But let's talk about baseball instead.
I agree. The defensive struggles continue for the Indiana baseball team as they fell to the Indiana State Sycamores 15-7 on Tuesday afternoon. It looked as if the trees would be crashing down as through the top of the third inning, the Hoosiers had a commanding 6-0 lead. However, through 5 innings, the score was then tied at 6, and Indiana State would continue pouring it on, tallying 9 more runs through the final 3 innings of play. In the last week, the Hoosiers have played 6 games where they have allowed a total of 70 runs in those contests while going 2-4 in that span. Indiana will look to turn things around, and Big Ten play is officially here as the Hoosiers will host Illinois this weekend for their first of 8 Big Ten series.
The women's NCAA tournament bracket has been set, and the Hoosiers are ready to host a regional once again in Bloomington. Indiana will take on the 31-1 13-seed Fairfield in their matchup of 64 rounds. And bearing a victory would face off against the winner of Oklahoma and Florida Gulf Coast. And after a quick exit in the Big Ten quarterfinal to Michigan, the Hoosiers have used their time to both prepare and rest up.
And it's just been a good week for all of us, especially Mackenzie and certainly Sid. We had some other kids that have been a little bit dinged up, so this was a great week for us to rest.
Indiana will tip off in Assembly Hall this Saturday at 1:30 and look to remain perfect on their home floor.
Over the weekend, the number 12th ranked Indiana water polo team faced 2 top 20 ranked opponents and were unable to come away with any wins. First, the Hoosiers took on 16th ranked UC Davis and held the lead until UC Davis scored the go-ahead goal with 2 minutes and 20 seconds left in the fourth. Sophia Sali had a hat-trick, making it her 15th multi-goal performance this season. Indiana then went on to face number 2 ranked California and got blown out 17-5. 5 different Hoosiers scored for the Hoosiers as Callie White had a team-high 2 steals. Indiana is now 0-2 in MPSF play. Indiana moves to 18-5 on the season and will return to Bloomington to host USC on March 30th.
Coming up after the break, we crown our Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week.
And softball struggles on the road. We'll tell you more about their trip to the Sunshine State. This is Hoosier Sports Nite.
Welcome back to Hoosier Sports Nite.
Now joining us in studio for this week's Hoosier Highlight is our very own Andrew Guss. Andrew?
Thanks, guys. This week's Hoosier Highlight is Ethan DiLorenzo from Indiana Hockey. This past week, DiLorenzo and the Hoosiers took home the 2024 ACHA Men's Division II National title in St. Louis. After coming up short in the semifinals last year in Boston, DiLorenzo carried his success from the regular season of 41 points into 28 games into nationals. DiLorenzo was named the MVP of the TSCHL this year, going to help his team win the Southeast Regional Tournament on their way to nationals. DiLorenzo played a huge role for Indiana, scoring a hat-trick against Michigan State to win the B Division of pool play. In overtime of the national championship game, it was his one-time slap shot that secured the Hoosiers their first national championship in 55 years. That's it for your Hoosier Highlight of the Week. I'm Andrew Guss. Back to you guys at the desk.
Indiana men's basketball season came to an end last week, falling to Nebraska 93-66 in the quarterfinals of the Big Ten tournament. The Hoosiers finished 19-14 and 6th in the Big Ten. Despite receiving a bid to the NIT, the Hoosiers declined the offer and are planning on focusing on the transfer portal. Since 5-star Liam McNeely decommitted from IU on March 7th, Mike Woodson now has no recruits for the class of 2024. On Tuesday, CJ Gunn, Peyton Sparks, and Caleb Banks all entered the transfer portal, with Xavier Johnson and Anthony Walker graduating. IU now has 6 open scholarship spots to fill, and all eyes are on the portal.
I mean, this thing is going to come very quickly, and we got to be in position to do our homework and our due diligence on these players based on who we might want to come in to fill a spot to help us move forward next season.
Indiana has reportedly made contact with some point guards. We will keep you updated on the news in the portal. Indiana has reportedly made contact with some point guards. We will keep you updated on the continued news in the portal.
Over spring break, Indiana softball traveled to Gainesville, Florida to play in the Florida tournament. The Hoosiers started off with a come-from-behind victory against Mercer 8-4 on Friday. On Saturday, Indiana continued their hot bats with a 9-2 win over Mercer. The Hoosiers never trailed in this one, and that was courtesy of Sarah Stone grand slam at the top of the first. Indiana's second game of the day was against the number 10 Florida Gators. Florida dominated their first 5 innings, but senior Cora Bassett and junior Taylor Minnick both hit 2 home runners to cut the Gator lead to 7-4 in the top of the 6th. However, Florida hit a 3-run bomb in the bottom half of the inning to put the Gators up for good. The Hoosiers dropped the game 10-4. On Sunday, Florida run-ruled Indiana 10-0 in 5 innings. The softball team will look to rebound this weekend when they start Big Ten play at Penn State.
Over spring break, the women's golf team flew down to Tallahassee, Florida to participate in the Florida State matchup. The team was led by graduate student Caroline Craig, whose experience at the course was clear. She finished just 1 over par throughout 54 holes. Faith Johnson pieced together a few nice rounds herself, finishing at 5 over par in her 3 rounds. As a group, they finished tied for 9th place and won the matchup portion of the tournament with their team pair against Duke. The team has a few weeks off before their last regular season meet in Columbus, Ohio on April 13th.
Now joining us with this week's Candy Stripe calendar report is Olivia Stone. Olivia?
Thanks, guys. Glad to be back from spring break with an action-packed week of Hoosier sports. This Thursday through Saturday, IU men's wrestling travels to Kansas City, Missouri for the NCAA Championships. Women's swimming makes their way to the NCAA Championships in Athens, Georgia. Baseball takes on Illinois at home on Friday through Sunday. Saturday at 1 p.m., women's soccer plays IUPUI in Indianapolis, and women's basketball plays 13-seed Fairfield at home to start off the first round of the NCAA tournament at 1:30 p.m. Finally, on Sunday, both men's and women's tennis play at home against Cornell at 3 p.m. and Penn State at 11 a.m., respectively. That's all for this week's Candy Stripe calendar. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Olivia. And that's our show for the week. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at IUSTV Sports to keep up with all the latest in IU athletics. For our entire crew, I'm Georgie Thomas.
And I'm Josh Pose. We'll see you next week.